A lot of male idols are sexist or misogynistic because of their conservative upbringing. I've talked about this before, and while plenty of people agree, others have something different to say. I feel like it's a very hard to swallow pill for a lot of fans. What it came down to was those people saying, no, I'm convinced XYZ idol would say something about it if it happened in front of him. He has proved himself to be a feminist numerous times. I just know those fans are aware of how untrue that is. I think the major problem is people that aren't Asian or don't understand Asian culture have a hard time understanding how deeply rooted sexism really is here. I'm an Asian female myself who grew up partly in the West, yet sexism and misogyny were extremely prevalent in my household/community. A lot of things that would raise eyebrows in the West, although the West has its own share of sexism too, will go unnoticed in Asian countries because they're just that normalized. It's not that surprising that male idols, so Asian men, share this mindset. Becoming an idol doesn't suddenly undo years of ingrained misogyny. In fact, I think the K-pop industry probably adds fuel to the fire. I've only been actively into K-pop for a few months now, but the amount of "I want a wife who will stay at home and take care of the kids/cook/cleans" I've heard from male idols is astonishing. Again, I'm not surprised, it's expected, and I'm not saying that example per se is sexist, but it does give me a good indication of their conservative views. To be honest, watching Korean variety in general just shows a lot of openly sexism. Now, I'm not saying conservative equals sexist, but in Asia they aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. The thing is, a lot of male idols we adore are friends with people that have made sexist, misogynistic, and homophobic comments before, maybe even themselves. But truth be told, I won't cancel someone for that. You might as well cancel all male idols then, since I doubt there's a lot of exceptions. Of course there's some, but they're the exception, not the rule. People said it was wrong to generalize an innocent till proven guilty, but I strongly disagree. Denying this is kind of ignorant since it's clearly an ongoing issue. A lot of Asian women can attest to this. You also can't refute years of research and experiences by saying let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
As a teenager, I got a girl pregnant. 15 years later I met her and she's the best thing to ever happen to me. When I was a teenager, I dated a girl for a brief amount of time. Nothing can really be said about the relationship except that she broke up with me out of the blue with no explanation. I didn't think much of it and went on with my life. 15 years later, I'm 32 and just found out I have a daughter. Turns out, the reason my ex broke up with me so long ago was because she was pregnant with my kid. She recently got charged with a bunch of substance charges and told the police I could take care of her because I was her dad. I was really surprised and I felt so many emotions all at once. I'm not going to lie, I was mostly skeptical about this whole thing, so I got a paternity test done and the results came back positive. With that, my daughter is coming to live with me now. I don't have any other kids or a partner, so this is going to take a lot of adjusting too. I do have dogs though, so maybe that can be used as a starter bonding moment for us because I don't know how to deal with this. After talking with her social worker, I found out that my ex neglected my daughter, so she isn't going to be used to being taken care of or having structure, which will be a big adjustment for her. She said for her own sake, I have to take things slow. I need to be patient with her and just show her love and support even if she'd want it. While all the legal proceedings were still happening, I got a room all ready for her in my apartment. The day I officially had to take her, she was very quiet in the car, and when I showed her the room, she didn't show much of a reaction. I told her that I know this is very new for both of us, so I know it's going to take some time to adjust. She has been through a lot from what I can tell. She's very underweight, and is not used to constantly having meals. I let her know that she could get food from the kitchen whenever she wanted, but that seemed to overwhelm her, so I put a snack bin in her room. I make sure to have all meals at a consistent time so that she knows a meal is going to happen. So far it's working and I can see she's thankful for it. Slowly, her body is getting used to it and she looks somewhat healthy. I've heard her waking up screaming in the middle of the night from nightmares. She hasn't told me what they're about and I don't expect her to yet because I know she doesn't trust me. I have comforted her though, and I'm in the process of finding a therapist for her. On a more positive note, I got her to open up enough to find out some things about her. She loves my dogs and we take them on walks together. She's pretty silent during those walks too, but just spending time with her is enough. She's also smart and loves to read, so I offered to take her to Barnes & Noble to buy some books she'd like to read. She also likes to play basketball, so I bought her a basketball and a small hoop for her room. I want to make her really comfortable here and make her see me as her dad because I already see her as a daughter. Before her, my life was pretty dull, so I have her to thank for bringing some positive change into my life. The process has definitely been tough for both of us, but I wouldn't change it for the world. She's adjusting pretty well to her new life, both personally and academically. She's gotten A's on her tests after being at the school for less than 2 weeks. I have high hopes for her future and hope she can persevere despite all the traumatic things she's been through. She honestly deserves the best the world has to offer. I said I wanted to celebrate her getting those high test scores, so we went out to eat ice cream. It was a beautiful day and honestly a core memory for me. But things took a sad turn when a mother came in with her 2 young daughters. You could just tell the girls were having fun with their mom and all 3 just clearly loved each other. My daughter got really quiet and kept staring at them. I didn't want to pry, so I didn't say anything, and I hoped this would be a moment where she would open up to me about her hardships because it would show that she was finally starting to trust me and letting me into her life. It wasn't until we were on the drive home that she said sometimes it's hard seeing girls have a good relationship with their mom. She said she got jealous because her mom and her never did any of that. She started crying and I tried to reassure her that I was going to give her the love and support she never had. She thanked me but let me know she wanted to be left alone the rest of the night. It was hard seeing her cry, but we made progress that day because it was the first time she had allowed me to see her cry. It is also difficult to know that even though I'm trying really hard to be a good dad to her, she will never know her mother's love. I wish I could fix that, and it sucks that I can't because she didn't deserve to be neglected and possibly abused. 2 months after that, her attitude changed. She was being really rude to me and I wasn't holding that against her. She had a right to be angry, and if she wanted me to be her punching bag, that was fine because anything was better than her bottling her emotions up like she used to do. We got into an argument the other day and she ended up telling me some very personal stuff I'm not going to share, but I will say she had a very rough start to life. I was trying my best to comfort her and it seemed like she was having a panic attack. After she calmed down, we were just sitting in silence and she said,
"You know you're pretty good at the whole dad thing for being a newbie."
I laughed and responded with, "Thank you. Being your dad has been enjoyable." She got quiet again for a while but then spoke up to say,
"Thanks, Dad."
That made my whole year. I love her so much. I gave my fiancé an ultimatum to cut off her gay best friend before our wedding because he touched me inappropriately twice. She thinks I'm a red flag. My fiancé has a best friend named Gregory and he's Satan reincarnated. At the start of our relationship, my fiancé wanted us to be really close because she loved the idea of the two men in her life getting along. Well, I tried, but Gregory proved to be an awful person right from the start. We were hanging out with some of my friends one night and when one of them started talking about an argument he had with his wife and how he hates fighting with her, Gregory was quick to say, "Dump that bitch. Women are hoes anyway." My friend got really mad and told him to apologize for calling her a degrading word. Gregory refused and said he was just being honest. They got into a fight and truth be told, he deserved to get that beating. I told my fiancé what happened the very next day and she laughed. She said that's just Gregory and I shouldn't take him seriously because that's his sense of humor. I said none of that was funny and I don't feel comfortable being around him anymore. She told me that I better get over it because she wasn't going to end their friendship. Gregory called her later that night and let her know he got beat up. I didn't hear the end of it when she got off that phone call. She said I was wrong for letting him get beat up, I better apologize to him, and we won't be seeing my friend who beat him up anymore. Not my proudest moment, but I told her exactly what she told me. She needs to get over it because I wasn't ending my friendship with him either. She got really mad at me and made me sleep on the couch. I didn't want to be near her that day, so I was more than happy to do so. Eventually, we made up, but I told her I was going to keep my distance from Gregory from now on. She kinda just scoffed at me and said she needed us to get along, so he was always going to be around from now on. And she stuck to her word. She invited him over constantly and he always made these weird jokes about hating women that my fiancé just laughed at. They were watching a movie with really graphic scenes of women getting assaulted and he said they deserved it. My fiancé laughed, hit him lightly on the arm and said, "Greg, you're so bad. You can't say that." But she wasn't scolding him. Gregory is gay, but that doesn't excuse his hateful behavior towards women, and it makes me wonder if he thinks that way about my fiancé. I brought this up to her and again, she dismissed his actions by saying he was joking. Everything went downhill when my fiancé invited Gregory over to drink. They got really wasted, Gregory even trashed my whole house. But my fiancé blacked out and passed out on the couch. I was in our bedroom the whole time he was here, but I went out to see why it had gotten so quiet all of a sudden. When I saw my fiancé sleeping, I went to get her and put her to bed. That's when it happened. Gregory snuck up behind me, grabbed my butt, and hugged me from behind. His grip on me wasn't strong, but I immediately froze. He then said that I should be marrying him because my fiancé doesn't deserve me. He said he could treat me so much better than her, and when he kissed my neck, that's when I pulled him off me. I told him to never do that again, and if he did, I was going to punch him. He called me baby multiple times and cried about how much he loved me. He said he could turn me gay if I just gave him a chance. I kicked him out of my house when he said that and took my fiancé to our bedroom. I thought that if I told my fiancé about this when she woke up, she would immediately stop being friends with Gregory. But she thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world. She said he had too much to drink, so it doesn't matter what he did. I let her know how uncomfortable he makes me, but she didn't care. In the end, she called me homophobic and said I had to change my ways or else, maybe she was going to marry the wrong person. I was floored. She went on to tell me how much Gregory means to her and how he's been a pillar of support for her for so many years. I said he had done nothing but be really creepy around me and his behavior is really concerning. She told me to drop it and she already decided to make him her best man of honor, so she didn't want to call off the wedding because he was really excited for this. I really just couldn't take it anymore and left the house. I had nothing nice to say and I knew the second I started shouting, I would say things I would regret. So, I went to complain to my friends. They all told me they hated Gregory too. My friends' wives/girlfriends mentioned how my fiancé always brings him along to their hangouts, even if it's strictly a girls' night. One time, they were all supposed to spend the night at one of their houses and Gregory arrived with my fiancé. The girls all protested against this and Gregory went on a tangent saying this is why he hates women and they were being super sensitive over nothing. The owner of the house said if Gregory didn't leave on his own accord, then my fiancé also wasn't allowed to stay. She actually ended up leaving with him. She's really codependent with him and I don't understand why. He's just not a good person to have around. I went back to my house after spending the night at my friend's. I decided I was going to put my foot down to get things to change. Thing is, when I arrived at my house the next day, Gregory was there. He was all cuddled up with my fiancé on the couch. I confronted them and asked what the hell was going on. Gregory told me to relax, that nothing was going on between them because he didn't even like females. My fiancé hopped on his bandwagon and said it was fine because Gregory is gay. I demanded that he leave the house, but my fiancé said that I needed to get along with Gregory because I was going to be seeing a lot more of him. When I asked what she meant by that, she dropped the biggest bombshell on me. Gregory had gotten evicted from his apartment and my fiancé let him move in with us. Oh, F that. I said I needed time away from both of them and went into my room to pack some things. I heard my wife encouraging Gregory to go talk to me alone in our bedroom, but he wanted to do more than talk. My awful friend kissed me at a party and she's threatening to tell my perfect girlfriend that I assaulted her if I snitch. I'm scared my girlfriend will believe her. My friend had a party the other night and we were drinking all night. At some point, we were all doing our own thing and my girlfriend's friend came up to me while I was alone in the upstairs hallway. That's where it happened. She started talking to me like normal and when I said I was going downstairs, she said she wanted to go with me. But she stumbled and laughed about how intoxicated she was, so I offered to help her down. That's when she kissed me and it was so disgusting. I immediately pushed her off and she said, "Come on, you know you want to." For the record, I really did not want to and I told her I was going to tell my girlfriend, who she's close with. She freaked out and she said she'll tell her I pushed myself on her to kiss and grope her. She looked completely serious. As in she will tell her that or she'll say I tried to do something worse to her. I don't know who my girlfriend will believe since it was just us in the hallway. My girlfriend arrived an hour later and I didn't have the guts to tell her. I feel so bad and I know that the longer I delay this, the worse it's going to get. She can always tell when I have something to hide and I know she was suspicious throughout the party, but chose not to say anything since we were with friends. The next morning, while we were eating together, she confronted me. She asked what happened at the party that was making me so nervous around her. I decided to tell her the whole truth before her friend lied. I kept reassuring her that she was the one who kissed me because I was scared her friend was going to text her to say something completely different. She was shocked and looked like she wanted to cry. But then I learned something effed up. This wasn't the first time her best friend did this. Last time, it was her ex-boyfriend from high school. She came to my girlfriend with a sob story about how her boyfriend kissed her and she tried to get him to stop, but wouldn't. My girlfriend believed her and broke up with the guy. It's been a rough day for her and she has not stopped crying. But things got even worse as the day went on. Her friend decided to stick with her threat and told my girlfriend a completely different version where I forced myself on her. She said I covered her mouth and tried to rope her while we were alone, but she managed to push me off and go with everyone else. My girlfriend immediately called her out on her lies and they got into a huge fight. They're no longer friends and though that's honestly for the best, my girlfriend is pretty devastated. I wish none of this happened because I hate seeing her so hurt. Just when we thought that was enough, her friend went and lied to everybody else about what happened. She made herself out to be the victim and told them my girlfriend was supporting a pissed over her own friend. My girlfriend couldn't believe she went this far. Her friends were texting her non-stop telling her how horrible of a person she is, saying I'm a monster, and that her ex-friend is going to be filing a police report against me. This lasted all week and my girlfriend was getting worse by the day. Luckily, some friends who were at the party didn't believe her story and tried to clear up the rumors. My girlfriend eventually had enough so she went over to her house and she convinced her to admit it was a lie. I don't know how she did it and she doesn't want to go into too many details, but she said it took a lot of talking. An hour later, her ex-friend texted her saying she's sorry about spreading those rumors and asking if they could talk because she doesn't want their friendship to end this way. Yeah, after kissing me without consent, lying about assault, and making my girlfriend seem like the bad guy too, she doesn't want their friendship to end like that. She's effing crazy. My girlfriend said their friendship is damaged beyond repair and then blocked her.
My awful husband slept with my mom a day before we got married. I only found out 2 years later because he felt guilty. My husband and I have been married for 2 years and everything has been great until my life went up in flames yesterday. My husband confessed something terrible to me out of guilt. It all started at his bachelor's party. He overdid it with the drinks and got really intoxicated. He said the next morning he didn't remember anything after a certain point. I didn't think much of it because he practically blacked out. Looking back at it now, he was acting really off, but again I brushed it off and assumed it was wedding jitters. Well, he told me that he did remember coming home the night of his bachelor's party, which was when my mom, who was staying with us that week for the wedding, seduced him. He went along with it and they slept together in her bed. He passed out and was there with her the whole night. Thing is, my bachelorette party was the same night so I came home around 3 a.m. and didn't see him in our bed. I texted him that I made it home safe and that I loved him. I had assumed he spent the night at a friend's house because he said he might do that if things got crazy. But he was actually with my mom. Right in the room next door to me. The next morning, he quietly slipped out while I was still asleep and got into our bed, pretending he'd just come home after sleeping off the doctrinconness at his friend's. If that wasn't bad enough, he had slept with her again in time, he initiated it. We literally got married the very next day. I can't believe this. My mom is also to blame. She has a history of trying to flirt with guys I've dated and being inappropriate with them. My husband knew this. We'd laughed about it and he assured me he would never in a million years think she was attractive. What the F? I called her last night and just said, my husband told me everything. She spent several minutes pretending not to know what I was talking about. Then when that didn't work, she denied everything and said he was making it up. Then she claimed she woke up to my husband forcing himself on her. The sheer audacity of the BS she is capable of is beyond any disgust I can properly convey. I ended the call and I could not stop crying. She refused to even admit the truth, let alone take any responsibility or apologize. I'm not even worth basic honesty in my own mother's eyes. I'm not even worth a half I'm sorry to her. Does she think I'm stupid? Why keep lying to someone who knows you're lying unless you actually think they'd fall for your crap? Everything feels unreal. I'm completely lost and almost feel like I dreamed this or something. In just a few hours, I lost the two most important people in my life because they decided that I wasn't as important to them as having a quick F. I hope it was the best 5 minutes of their lives. And sure, maybe my husband didn't come home that night with the planned intention of sleeping with her. He probably didn't, and it was just horrible judgment from overdrinking. That doesn't change the fact he and my mom slept together. Especially since my mom knew exactly what she was doing and didn't feel guilty at all. I cannot imagine remaining in a marriage where my spouse has effed my mom. Literally 2 nights before our wedding. There's simply no coming back from that, but turns out, he didn't tell me the whole truth.
My girlfriend landed a role on a TV show. I watched the premiere with my family and now I completely regret it. A couple of months ago my girlfriend responded to an online ad for an upcoming TV show about Gen Z. The ad encouraged anyone between the ages of 18 to 25 to sign up for the show. If your submission was successful, which was the case with my girlfriend, you would be required to come to the studio and get interviewed on camera. That was it. Just you, the camera crew, and questions you had to answer about what it meant to be Gen Z. I was there to drop my girlfriend at the studio and then pick her up afterwards. I was not allowed to be present during the interview. A couple of hours later, I was back behind the wheel with my girlfriend, who seemed relieved that she was no longer in front of the camera. I was curious to know what her experience was like and what kind of questions were asked, etc. But my girlfriend said it was all a blur and that we would just have to wait and see when the show eventually aired. Cut to now. The show aired at the beginning of the month on one of the local streaming sites in my country. My girlfriend and I were unable to watch her episode together because we were physically too far apart, but I still made it an event by encouraging my mom and dad to watch it with me, which they were more than happy to do. I expected an entertaining and engaging discussion about all kinds of things affecting young people, and for the most part, I got exactly what I expected, which made me extremely proud of my girlfriend because most of the pressure was on her to be interesting and articulate, and she freaking killed it. That said, towards the end of the interview, my girlfriend was challenged to comment on random words that appeared on screen. Words young people were using or redefining like, riz, sus, drip, bag, body count, etc. One of the words was slut, which prompted my girlfriend to state that she believed there was positive affirmation and power in the word slut, before she decided to go a step further by saying she proudly considered herself a slut, because she's had many partners and she enjoyed sleeping with all of them. Needless to say, eye contact became challenging for me with my mom and dad present. I could sense the sudden tension in the room as my girlfriend unashamedly embraced her slutty self. The episode was less than 13 minutes long, but it ended up feeling a lot longer due to how uncomfortable it was to watch with my parents. For the rest of that evening I had to listen to my mom and dad remind me of what a decent girl my ex used to be, and how I let her get away, just when I thought they were finally warming up to my girlfriend. People who grew up poor, what was your best poor hack? Find the nearest food bank and get yourself some food. They never give you any expired/government type food, it was all good quality stuff. I got a whole chicken one. It fed me and my roommate for about a week and the rest of the food we got lasted through the month. Share what you have with the right people and they'll share what they have with you. Foil over your windows if you don't have air conditioning to keep the heat out. Buy generic brands. It's the same stuff under a different label. Still poor here. I only have one reusable bag for shopping, not a super big one either. If all the groceries I buy can't fit in this bag, I start putting things back. Usually, the contents of the bag work out to be $50, $60. It's a nice way of not going overboard when getting groceries and keeps me within my budget. There's a cheap pasta and tomato sauce trick I use that fills me up right away. You'll need your preferred pasta. I go with penne, tomato paste, 1 to 2 cloves garlic, salt and pepper, dry and or fresh herbs, optional. Key: add more water than usual to boil pasta in. Salt the water, do not add oil because it does nothing to help cook pasta. As long as you occasionally stir the pasta and have enough room in the pot, the pasta won't stick together. A few minutes after adding pasta to boiling water, in a separate pot or pan, add a little olive oil and or butter, and fry diced garlic over medium-high heat for just a minute or two. Garlic burns quickly, so be ready. Then add tomato paste. A small 6-ounce can per 1 pound pasta should do. Then add maybe 2 to 2.5 cups, a few ladles full, of the pasta water to the garlic and paste. Stir until the paste is incorporated. Add a little salt and pepper, and garlic powder, thyme, oregano, basil if you have them. If the sauce is too liquidy after adding water, blast the heat to reduce. If you grow your own basil, some fresh basil at the end will make that rusty fork feel like a silver spoon. I usually then drain the pasta, 2 to 3 minutes before recommended cook time, then add the pasta to the sauce. I let it cook together for a minute or so and it works out to be less than $3 total to feed 3 to 4 adults. Edit: if your garlic has those sprouts coming out the top, slice the garlic clove in half and take the sprouts out because it's got a bitter flavor.